Dudes to Dads is a podcast to help men understand and navigate the transition of being a single dude into a family man. How do we make sense of it all? Well, we probably won't be able to, but let's go ahead and have some fun trying. And we are back.
We are back.
I'm Jason Kreidman.
I'm Alan Bush.
And this is Dudes to Dads. You like that one?
I like it.
Should we start over?
Dudes to Dads.
Oh, we can just keep going.
Yeah, keep on. Just keep on.
This is a recorded podcast. So what happens is, actually, we very rarely
Go to the
record things over because we didn't like it.
Right. Yeah.
You know, very rarely do we stop and go, let's go back.
Unless there's like a noise or something.
Usually it's a guest,
Yeah.
in which we do that. So how are you doing?
Good.
Another good week?
Another good week. Yeah.
Exciting stuff happening over here.
Yeah.
Episode 129.
Yeah.
Teaching your child time management. Mm-hmm. How does that ring for you?
Yeah, everyone can use some of that. But, it's interesting. I wonder, like, how do kids tell time now? Are the clocks still the way they are in schools? Like, remember when we were kids, it was hands on the clock?
No, I think they still have.
They have that?
That clock. They don't have digital.
They don't. Okay, they haven't moved to digital.
Not all.
Okay.
But I mean, in either way, you got to teach them both.
I'm still thinking. Like, I thought about that. I was like,
because watches, like even a watch, watches. Most people use their phones, but
yeah, right. Yeah, I just got curious about that when you mentioned that.
Yeah, no, it's interesting. I mean, this is something where time management is something that's needed for adults, and what you can see is that as an adult, having your own issues with time management certainly trickles down into the child.
Sure,
that's just. Easy to see that one.
Absolutely.
I'm not a rocket scientist.
Right.
Right. So I think what we're going to do, this was actually inspired by an article I read. The woman's name was Apryl Duncan, and I'll put a link on there. It was a good, had some tips and some things. And so cool. I just appreciated that. It's on thespruce.com. So give them a plug as well.
Sure.
So the first thing, is start early. You don't want to wait till they're teenagers to all of a sudden implement time management.
Right. They're going to be looking
it's not going to work very well.
Yeah, exactly.
So, toddlers and preschoolers can learn to begin to understand time. It's just, so you want to make sure you're starting early, and that can be as soon as they're able to read or walk or, kind of look at things. And I mean, kids always like to play with stuff. And I remember our kids, like even just looking at like some of the toys had little clocks on them and things like that. And there were some annoying ones too, where it's like, they would yell out, you put the dial and then all of a sudden it would say the time, and they would do that 463,000 times. Like, okay, it's 4:00. I got it. But definitely starting early. Another tip, make it fun. If you are someone who stresses out badly with time, they're probably going to do the same thing. All right.
So let me circle back to you.
Yes.
Are you a stressor outer about time?
What do you think?
I'm guessing, yeah.
Yes, I am.
But I feel like you don't translate as much of that, or you hold back on some of that with it passing it on to
I could be better.
Okay, good.
Yeah, I could be better. I mean, the
it's cathartic for Jason to have this show.
I don't do this for no reason. Right. The postings on our or I should say the schedules that we have, and we have time schedules and things like that.
Yeah.
Was to try to help them learn that.
Yeah.
And so I've implemented some of these things. There's some things I'm realizing I probably could implement more of and better. But I said, like, even our morning routine has become easier as they're getting a little older, and they understand it and they understand time. We're starting. So my kids are now 7 and 9. And one of the things is summer. It's summer break.
Yeah.
And so now, and my son has a watch, and it's like, hey, another 15 minutes, you need to come inside, and I'll say something like that. And he came inside, 15, 20 minutes, whatever. Yeah. Pretty good. And I was like, hey, thank you so much for coming, making a big deal about the whole thing,
as we
whatever.
Talked about last episode.
Yeah. And so I think, they're still at that age. Maybe it's too late, or, maybe it's longer than normal, but I'm saying they're learning that. They're learning what this time means, how, the increment of a 15-minute versus an hour.
Yeah.
But they still get lost in time, like many of us,
Sure.
and we all do that.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I'm very,
punctual,
stressful of time. Yeah, no, it's just something I always, I know with my parents, my sister's the same way too. It's like, we knew that if our parents said 7:00, everybody's ready at 7:00. Like, there's no question, you know? Right. And my wife appreciates that too, where she knows, like, if I say, hey, I'll be home at 1:30, there's not even a question.
Yeah.
And if there is something, I'm going to definitely text or, let her know.
Yeah.
But there is no question that I will be there on time. And so my kids have learned that as well, like the reliance on time, like, oh, dad'll be here, dad'll be there.
Yeah.
And so I think that they're probably getting some of that too. I want to try to maybe have them stress a little less than I do.
Yeah.
Because it's not necessarily as crucial as I make it out to be.
Right.
But it is important. So, at least being on time for appointments and things like that. When you're on your, somebody else's schedule, then you have to respect that.
I think that's where, circling back to me now, I'm really good at that part where it's appointments and things that need to be done. But when you give me loose ends and I say, oh, I'll do that by that time, I'm not going to do it by that time. I wait till the last minute, I'll procrastinate. And then I'm like, oh, damn, it's like 2 hours past, or like, I got to do this tomorrow. Sorry. Like if it's like, I need this done by 6:00 tomorrow, then I'm like,
you work good under pressure.
I work way better under pressure. But if you give me too loose of a schedule, or it's kind of.
So how do you typically curb that? Do you write it down? I mean, what's your method?
With my own personal deadlines, then like especially with work, I think I'm better at it with work than I am in my personal life, because in my personal life, it's like, well, it's kind of open-ended. I'm like, it doesn't matter when I get whatever done. And that's where I could be better. I could make a more regimented schedule for myself to do certain things that makes, to keep me on my own tasks.
Well, it depends if it bothers you or not.
If it bothers me. And it's, I think that's where it happens, where it gets to the point where it's bothering me. I'm like, all right, you know what? Stop being like just loosey-goosey.
Well, it works because other people are, there's more people relying on you. So,
exactly.
So you
and
feel
I'm very
that pressure.
mindful of time. I know how long certain things take to do. If someone says they're going to be at a certain location by, they're coming from Orange County and they're going to be in San Diego by X amount of time, I'm like, no, you're not. It's going to take you a little bit longer. Trust me. No, we'll get there on time. And that's I'm the same way. I think positively it's going to be great, but it doesn't always work that way. So I have to get that buffer. But anyway, make it fun. I think we go back to that.
No, I appreciate that. Making it fun. We're going to talk about some things that they can do, but you're going to want to keep some of these things light. It's not, you better do this and you better regiment. It's keeping it light and making the schedule and having them enjoy that.
Yeah.
I can use that advice. So the next thing, teaching them about time. So literally teaching them how to read a clock, and whether that is a digital clock or a regular hand clock. I don't even know what you call them. And as I just mentioned, help them understand what 5 minutes means.
Right.
Set the clock. We have a timer in our kitchen, and often we use it for cooking and stuff, but it's the same thing. It's like, okay, let's set it to 5 minutes and let's do this and see, and then let the alarm go off. And so giving them that opportunity to see the time and how it works and what that difference is between 5 and 15 minutes, and like, because you don't think about it, like they have no idea. Like it's all new. What is 15 minutes? What does that mean? Like they don't know.
The concept's lost in it.
It is, especially with a toddler or like a young child. Like they have no idea, and for them, time is just it doesn't.
No, and it's so relative to their existence, because when you're really young, an hour takes forever.
Yeah.
Now it's like things fly by in an hour.
Well, yeah. I mean, I can already tell. Like with it's on, like I said, it's on summer break, and my kids will be like, okay, 15 more minutes. And they're like, it's just they want to do whatever they're doing in the present moment forever.
Yeah, exactly.
They don't want to come inside. Yeah. Well, you've been playing for 7 hours. I think it's time to come inside.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, no, we just started a game. Well, you just started a game 27 times. I'm sorry. It's time to come in. But that's why I give the warning.
Yeah, exactly.
Hey, 15 minutes, 20 minutes, whatever. Yeah, wrap it up. So teaching them about time is important. Next one, I like this one. Make a family calendar. So we happen to have a calendar like in the kitchen, but I can see how this would be a lot more beneficial, is kind of making everyone's general schedule and sort of coordinating that So maybe having different colors for each person.
Yeah.
So knowing that, hey, my daughter has this on this day, my wife is doing this on this day. I personally haven't done that as well. And I think that would be helpful because there are times where I'm like, hey, what is he doing on Wednesday?
Yeah.
And I don't know just because I haven't written it down or whatever. So I think it keeps everybody informed, not only the adults, but also the kids, because the kids will often ask that question, like, what are we doing tomorrow? Who's doing what time is that at? And it's like, if you just have it all there, it's really easy for them to start getting into that habit of coordinating it and seeing the different things that are happening and not having to ask you 5,000 questions.
Right.
So I think that having that family calendar is cool. The next one, have them or let them have their own calendar. So in addition to having the family calendar, they could each have their own in their own room, which they can write the times and do the things that they want to do on there. So, what time do you get ready for school? What time do you maybe have a practice or a sport or an activity of some kind? What's going on at school? Maybe this Friday is a dance, whatever it is, allow them to do that. My son actually does that. My daughter hasn't taken to that yet.
That's cool.
But he likes maintaining his Michael Jackson calendar.
That's awesome.
Well, this is Michael Jackson.
Yeah, of course.
Which I didn't realize how hard those are to find now. But, so the next one, establish set meal times. I think this is good if, it's ideal if you're going to be eating together. But, as an example, like, they know to come inside from playing outside in the evening because dinner is always at 6 o'clock or whatever, whatever the time is. At least have a pretty good window, and I think being that flexible or being too flexible, I think, can cause some confusion because then they don't know when. But also, I would imagine being too rigid, sometimes you just don't, sometimes the schedule doesn't work.
Right.
So you have to kind of, you have to kind of be malleable to not necessarily have to always stick to the schedule. But I would say, by and large, I personally try to stick to a schedule. It helps me. I know that I'm going to then try to make sure I'm home, from work. And so I don't schedule something it's just for everybody's, everybody's knowledge and coordination. So,
it helps with the routine. And I totally agree with that. I grew up with
kids
that way.
Prefer that routine.
Absolutely.
So for sure. Another important tip, don't overschedule. So don't have them participating in every sport or, every school activity. Don't book 3 birthday parties on Saturday.
Right.
Trust me, it happens.
Yeah. Right.
And it's very easy to fall into that trap, where they see you going from one place to the next, and you're rushing and whatever. It's very hard. And especially as a kid, it's like the overscheduling is a rampant problem.
Yeah. Well, there's so much going on, and I feel like that's stressful.
It's very stressful. It's very stressful for us coordinating how to get to places. And, who's doing what, and all this stuff. So the next tip is schedule downtime. So just like you would schedule the activities, I think you can schedule the downtime.
Sure.
Adults need downtime and so do kids, and whether that's okay, from 3 to 5, you're playing.
Yeah.
That's fine.
Go nuts. Have fun.
And I think that's fine to do too. So
like decompression time you're talking about? Like,
just whatever time whatever you want to do. Yeah. I mean, it's your free time. You can do whatever you want to do. I'm not going to tell you have to go play. If you want to go read, you want to go color, I don't care.
Right.
And that could be the same thing for electronics. Depends on how you police that. Okay, you've got 30 minutes to do whatever you want to do.
Sure.
Or you have 2 hours to do what you want to do. If you want to do electronics, that's 30 minutes of it. That's
right.
Little dig there. So that's a good one. Another one, teaching them priority and how to prioritize the different things that they need to do. One of the tips here that I liked regarding that was the concept of first, next, and last. So in other words, they don't have to know 20 things. They don't have to prioritize 20, different things. It's really 3 things.
Right.
Like what's first, what comes next, and then what's last.
Right.
And how do you prioritize? And this is a good method for learning, and that may be this, like something as an example is, your homework, if they have homework, hopefully they don't. But if they have homework, that comes before playing a video game.
Sure.
And eating dinner comes before XYZ or whatever, and like teaching them the prioritization of what it is that they are going to do or they have planned.
Right.
Because sometimes you might have 2 or 3 things planned at the same time. Mm-hmm. How do you figure out which one to do?
Yeah.
So that's one of them. And another one, which this is another like reoccurring theme, is positive reinforcement.
Yeah. Mentioned that last episode.
Yeah. Really important that when you see them doing something good with their time management, make sure you make a big deal about it. Hey, you were ready on time for school today. That was greatly appreciated. Mm-hmm. It's simple to do that. And you're affirming that, that the time is appreciated, and that, you recognized it,
right.
And that they did it. I mean, they were the ones. They're not getting a reward. They're not doing whatever. They're just, you're telling them, hey, that was really helpful, or I appreciate that. Right. That's never a bad statement. Like you cannot say too much of that. Like, hey, that was really appreciated, or that was, I'm really glad you did that, or something like that.
Yeah.
That's, so these are just, I think time management is something we all, I won't say struggle with, but all kind of deal with and try to improve.
It becomes more and more part of your routine and part of your regular life, for sure. Yeah.
Yeah. So if people want or want to give us some feedback or have their own suggestions on time management, Alan, what shall they do?
They shall email us podcast@dudesadads.com, or hit us up on social media channels, Twitter @dudesadads, Facebook dudesadads.com. Go to iTunes and Stitcher and leave some reviews, even talk about time management. Yeah. Talk about time management on those. Subscribe to both of those channels, and please check out the YouTube channel at Dad University. Jason has some great tips up there that are on video, or will be up there on video, not just the podcast, but also some other stuff and additional goodies as well.
Awesome. Thank you, Alan. As always, thank you very much.
Thank you.
And we will see you next week.
See you next week.